So this is summary of the various laboratory tests which we can do for diagnosis of herpes simplex virus infection. First important diagnostic method is microscopy. We can make the tank smear, and in this you will see the presence of multinucleated giant cell with faceted nuclei and homogeneously stained ground glass chromatin. Under light microscopy, you can appreciate the eosinophilic internuclear inclusion bodies. Under electron microscopy, you can see the virus particle. We can also do the direct antigen detection test, and for this you can do direct fluorescent antibody test and direct enzyme immunoassay, and you will detect the herpes simplex virus antigens directly in the vesicular fluid, tissue smear or biopsy. The virus can also be isolated in cell culture lines. Culture can be done on HeLa cells, Hep2 cells and human embryonic fibroblast cell culture lines. The cytopathic effects like ballooning of the cells, infected cells, can be seen within 1 to 3 days. Serology, the antibodies appear within a week and peak in 2 to 4 weeks. And the rise in antibody titers can be done by various serological tests like ELISA, CFT and neutralization tests. This is not useful for primary infection, but only useful for seroepidemiological purposes. Then molecular diagnosis by using DNA probe and PCR. It detects viral genome directly in vesicular fluid, skin scraping, CSF and other specimens. Coming to treatment part, it is a DNA virus. For replication to be interrupted, nucleotide analogs are used, which are viral DNA polymerase inhibitors. They prevent or shorten the course of primary disease or recurrent disease, but they cannot eliminate latent infection. Acyclovir is a drug of choice. It is basically reserved for deep and systemic infection, and IV formulation is used. Otherwise, acyclovir, vidrabin, valacyclovir, famciclovir, they are also available as oral agents and are effective antiviral agents. For topically, we can use iododeoxyuridine. This can be used for eye and skin infection topically. Antiviral agents like acyclovir, valacyclovir, famciclovir, they are effective antiviral agents. Asymptomatic shedding is frequent in patients with genital herpes. Therefore, there is a need to reduce the transmission or block the transmission, which can be done by avoidance of contact with the potential virus shedding lesions, adopting safe sexual practices, and by antiviral therapy. The next is varicella zoster virus. This is also a DNA virus and belongs to Herpes viridae family, subfamily Alpha Herpes virinae. Varicella zoster virus, it produces vesicular eruptions or rashes on skin and mucous membrane in two clinical forms. One clinical form is known as chickenpox or varicella. The second clinical presentation is zoster or shingles. Now, chickenpox. The site of entry of the virus is through upper respiratory mucosa or conjunctiva. The spread occurs by replication in the regional lymph node. From there, it spills over into the bloodstream and causes primary viremia. And then it reaches to liver and spleen and multiplies there. And again, it enters the bloodstream and causes secondary viremia. Varicella zoster virus present in the infected mononuclear cells are then transported to various sites like to skin, where it causes vascular rash. It also reaches respiratory tract, where it becomes contagious or important source of transmission because it is shed in the respiratory secretions. It also reaches neurons, trigeminal ganglia, where it undergoes latency. This is brief of pathophysiology of varicella zoster virus. This will cover both the varicella and the zoster. Varicella is the chickenpox which occurs in childhood, and zoster is the reactivation of the latent varicella zoster virus which occur in old age. So varicella zoster virus, it enters through the respiratory tract and it replicates in the regional lymph nodes. From there, it causes the primary viremia in the bloodstream. Here, the further viral replication takes place in liver and spleen. Again, it enters the bloodstream, causing secondary viremia. And from here, it enters into the nerve ending and is transported to the dorsal root ganglia, where it lies dormant in sensory nerve ganglia, dorsal root. The reactivation of this varicella zoster virus, which is latent in the dorsal root ganglia, takes place, and this causes the infection of the nerves and dermatome, leading to herpes zoster. Clinical manifestation. The incubation period is 10 to 21 days, and child is infectious from 2 days prior to the onset of rash to 5 days thereafter until the vesicles which are formed are crusted. The humans are the only known reservoir with no carrier. There is a typical description of chickenpox rashes that they are vesicular, the centripetal in distribution, which means they are more concentrated in the center and then they spread centrifugally or peripherally to the periphery or extremities. They are bilateral and diffuse, and rashes they appear in multiple crops. That is, the various stages of the rash can be seen in the same area in one area at the same time, like stages like macule, papule, vesicle, and scab. They can be appreciated in the same area at the same time. So different crops of different stages can be seen, and the distribution of rash is centripetal. It is bilateral and diffuse. It is a disease of childhood. You can see the rash. The rash is centripetal, that it is bilateral, and it is the rash. You can see it is centripetal in distribution. So it starts from the trunk and then goes to the face, and then it can spread further. But usually it spares the soles and palms, and it is axilla is involved, but it spares the extremity and involves the flexor aspect. And the rash which you will see will have all the stages. Multiple crops of the rash will be seen, and there would be fever whenever there is appearance of rash. Different stages of rash like macule, papule, and then vesicle, and then ulceration or scab can be seen in the same area at the same time. In adults, it causes severe rash. It is bullous and hemorrhagic rash is caused in adults. And one exposure or attack, it gives a long life immunity. Secondary attack rate is 70 to 90%. Complication in adult and immunocompromised people, most common complication seen is secondary bacterial infection of skin. It can also involve extracutaneously CNS, and there it can cause cerebellar ataxia, aseptic meningitis, and encephalitis. Most serious is varicella pneumonia, which is seen in mothers, and Reye syndrome. This is fatty degeneration of the liver following salicylate intake or aspirin intake. Other complications can be myocarditis, nephritis, arthritis. Chickenpox in pregnancy, it can cause varicella pneumonia, which is a serious condition in mothers. As varicella zoster virus is teratogenic, and the mothers who have primary infection with varicella zoster virus, they are at higher risk, and they can cause, here it can cause fetal or congenital varicella syndrome. During the first half of the pregnancy, it may be asymptomatic in nature, But during the second half of the pregnancy, it leads to congenital malformation in the form of cicatricial skin lesions and hypoplasia of limbs and microcephaly. If the infection occurs near delivery, which means if the mother get infected more than 5 days prior to delivery, and then the baby is unaffected and mostly asymptomatic, this is due to the presence of protective maternal antibodies. But if the mother gets infection 5 days before to 2 days after the delivery, the maternal antibodies are not sufficiently produced in that short time, and this leads to dissemination of virus in baby, and this causes severe type of chickenpox, that is neonatal varicella. Next is zoster or shingles. Zoster is occurs due to the reactivation of latent varicella zoster virus. This occurs in old age, more than 60 years of age, or in immunocompromised patients, and occasionally it can occur in healthy adults. The main presentation of zoster is always accompanied with severe pain in the area of skin or mucosa, which is supplied by one or more groups of sensory nerve and ganglia. And the rashes, the description of rashes, that this is unilateral. In chickenpox, it was bilateral. This is segmental, and it is confined to the area of skin which is supplied by the affected nerves. Most common nerve which is involved in it is ophthalmic branch of trigeminal nerve. Head, neck, trunk are the most common sites which are affected. So herpes zoster mainly affect a single dermatome of the skin. Majority of the patients occur in more than 50 years of age, and latent virus, it reactivates in a sensory ganglion and tracks down the sensory nerve to appropriate segment. The post-hepatic neuralgia, this is the most common complication of zoster and is appreciated or seen as characteristic eruption of vesicles in the dermatome, which is accompanied by intensive pain, and this pain lasts for months and known as post-hepatic neuralgia. So if you see the rash of zoster, it is unilateral. It's also known as girdle because it forms a belt, and it is erythematous and it has an intensive pain, and because of the affected dermatome which is supplied by a particular nerve, and that is why there is a intense pruritus and pain associated with the zoster lesions. The herpes zoster may involve 1, 2, or 3 adjacent dermatomes. There is unilateral rash formation, but it is due to the dermatome which is affected by the nerve supply, and more than 1 or 2 or even 3 adjacent dermatomes can be affected. Complication, post-hepatic neuralgia is the most common complication. Here you will see there is a pain at the local site which lasts for several months. Zoster ophthalmicus, this is there is a unilateral painful crops of skin, rashes surrounding the eye, and it can cause visceral disease like pneumonia. This is a tablet form differentiating between the chickenpox and shingle. The transmission of chickenpox is through respiratory secretions or vesicular fluid, and in shingles it is basically the reactivation of the latent varicella zoster virus. Sign and symptoms in chickenpox, there is a rash and there is malaise, fever. Shingles is always associated with the nerve which is supplying a particular dermatome. So you will see neuralgia, dermatomal rash, and weakness of the affected nerve. Distribution of rash in chickenpox is it's a bilateral and it is diffuse, and it will be centripetal in distribution, and it will appear first on trunk and then it will progress to face and then to extremities. In herpes zoster or shingles, it will primarily affect the thoracic segment, and remainder will affect cranial, cervical, and lumbar. Character of rash, it is non-grouped and it is itchy vesicles, whereas shingles they are always grouped, and they are edematous and always painful. Lab diagnosis is similar to the herpes simplex virus because you will see most of the things are similar on identification, like on cytopathology. Tank smear reveals the same changes as that of herpes simplex virus. You will appreciate multinucleated giant cells. And virus isolation can be done on various cell culture lines, and cytopathogenic effects such as rounding and ballooning of infected cells, as similar to herpes simplex virus, will be seen. There are specific methods for the detection of varicella zoster virus, like direct immunofluorescence tests for antigen detection and PCR. Treatment: acyclovir is a drug of choice for halting the progression of the chickenpox and the complication of chickenpox, and but it is not able to manage the post-herpetic neuralgia. Yes, there is a vaccine and live attenuated vaccine using Oka strain of varicella zoster virus. This is given to children after 1 year of age, and 2 doses are given. One dose is given at the first dose, which is given at 12 to 15 months, and second is given at 4 to 6 years. In seronegative adults, 2 doses are given, and these doses they are given at 1 month interval or gap. This live attenuated vaccine is quite effective in preventing chickenpox in children, more than 80%, but less in adults, around 70%. And it is 95% effective in preventing severe disease. Then is varicella zoster immunoglobulin. This is recommended for post-exposure prophylaxis, and it is given within 96 hours of exposure, preferably 72 hours of exposure, and it is indicated for neonates born to mother who are suffering from chickenpox. If the onset of chickenpox in mother is between less than 5 days before delivery till 2 days or 48 hours after delivery, this is not indicated in mother with zoster. That's all.